Hello there, IELTS students. Welcome to IELTS Podcast. You no longer have to worry, fret, or panic about IELTS because we are here to guide you through this test jungle. Enjoy these IELTS tutorials, and if you need more help or want to access the famous online course, you can visit us at IELTSPodcast.com.
Hey there, hi, it's Rob Buckinghamshire again. Welcome to another IELTS podcast. I'm all by myself today because Ben is very busy doing something. I don't know what he's doing, but I'm sure he is very busy doing something very important. So you got me all by myself. Anyway, what are we going to do today? You know, I thought today it would be interesting to go through an IELTS General Training writing task. Writing task 1, that is, of course. You know, the letter writing task. You know, we've been talking an awful lot about the academic version of IELTS recently, so it's time to go to general training for a change. Actually, you know, I don't suppose too many of you have written or received a letter recently, have you? I mean, you know, the type you write on paper and put in an envelope and post. Not emails, but even those emails these days are just for quite formal situations at work or when you're applying for courses or jobs and things like that. I mean, mostly these days, what do? It's just texting, isn't it? We just send short text to each other. Some of you, in fact, may be asking why we have to write a letter at all. I'll tell you why. It's not so much the letter itself, but the English language skills we need to express ourselves in certain situations. That's what the examiners are looking for. Huh? Can you do it? Let's have a look. I mean, when you look at IELTS General Training Writing Task 1 questions, you know, the first thing you notice very clearly is how very clear the instructions are. They describe a situation and tell you what direction your letter must take. Take this example. Okay, you're listening. All right. You can check this out online. It's all there for you on IELTSPodcast.com, the written version of this. But here is the task itself, the instructions. Your friend works as a fitness instructor. Let me say that again. Your friend works as a fitness instructor in a gym. You would like to receive his or her advice. Write a letter to your friend. In your letter, you should describe your exercise program, explain what your goals are, ask for advice on how you can improve your fitness. Write at least 150 words. You do not need to write any addresses. Begin your letter as follows. Dear... Okay, got it? Yeah. The 3 bullet points clearly tell you what to include. They ask you to describe, explain, and seek advice. And we also have a very clear idea of how formal your letter should be. I mean, this example today is informal. It's to a friend. Other letters might be very formal, writing to strangers, or semi-formal, maybe writing to a work colleague or something like that. Obviously, the level of formality has an influence on the way we write in every way. The grammar, the vocabulary, the greeting at the beginning, the ending. Okay, so let's get to details. Here's the letter. Here is the letter. I want you to notice how many paragraphs there are and how each one has a definite purpose. What is the connection between these purposes and the 3 bullet points that we have to write about in the letter? Also, letters must have a good opening and ending. How is that done here? How do I do it? And have a think also about the vocabulary and maybe the grammar too. This is a letter to a friend asking for advice. Which words, expressions, and grammar show that this is written in an informal style? Okay, lots of questions I've got. And it's a good idea if you can see the letter, check it out so you can follow what I'm saying and see it online at the same time. So let me read it part by part, paragraph by paragraph, stopping to discuss general points along the way, and after that we can also look at some more details, okay? So here goes. Okay, I've got my dear. I'm writing it to someone called Mark. Okay, dear Mark, comma. Paragraph 1. This is how I've written the first short paragraph. How are you? I'm sorry I haven't been in touch, but things here have been busy. Shall I read that again? How are you? I'm sorry I haven't been in touch, but things here have been busy. Paragraph 1, it opens with a classic greeting. How are you? And a sentence that links the writer to the receiver, to the recipient. I'm sorry I haven't been in touch, but things here have been busy. Paragraph 2. But in paragraph 2, we're supposed to talk about our training routine, how we are keeping fit, our fitness routine. Listen to this. I guess you're working hard as usual in the gym. In fact, that's partly why I'm writing. With this new job, I've become so lazy. I'm hardly doing any exercise at all, apart from walking to work sometimes and doing some stretching exercises and work with weights at home. Well, on Sundays I go jogging in the park, but that's about it. Paragraph 2 then outlines the reasons why he's writing. He introduces the topic of exercise routines and describes exactly what he's currently doing to keep fit, which is not very much, no? Hardly any exercise, walking to work, doing some stretching, working with weights, go jogging in the park on Sundays, and that's it. Okay, next paragraph, paragraph 3. But in paragraph 3, we're trying to here explain exactly why. What are my motives? What are my real goals with this idea of keeping fit? Listen to this. Actually, what worries me is that everyone in the company takes part in an annual half marathon event for charity. But honestly, I really need to get into shape for it. Luckily, it's next spring, so I have a few months to prepare. Yeah, just 2 sentences there, but I think they cover exactly the real motive for the desire to get into shape. Why is this person doing it? To take part in this this half marathon event at work, and all the workmates are doing it, so he also wants to do it. Okay. Right, asking for advice, paragraph 4, asking for advice from his friend on what to do, how to get into shape. Listen, I'd really appreciate your thoughts on what to do. If I joined the local gym and started a serious workout program, would that be the best idea? I know I need to strengthen my leg muscles, and so I could buy a running machine. And do you think riding a bike is a good idea? A couple of questions there too, no? Good idea? Best idea? I'd really appreciate your thoughts. Yes, looking for advice. Well, in paragraph 5, it's time to finish the letter. Say bye-bye. How does he do it? I can't wait to hear your advice, and don't forget that open invitation to come for the weekend. It would be great to see you. It would be great to see you. Take care, Rob. This short paragraph 5 concludes with a very typical personal touch. The invitation for the weekend, great to see you. That we usually see in an informal letters. And it's followed by a very friendly ending, no? We can say all the best, take care, because it's very informal, it's to a friend. Okay, let's go on to think about the person who will grade your IELTS writing essays. It's always a good idea, believe me, to think of what the IELTS examiner is looking for. Know the enemy. The 4 areas the examiner looks at are, remember, task achievement, coherence and cohesion, lexical resource, and grammatical range and accuracy. Okay? Now, taking task achievement and coherence and cohesion first, to get a high band score, at least a band 7, but hopefully an 8 or a 9, you must answer all parts of the question, and your ideas, the details and examples, if you like, must be relevant to the task instructions. So it's covering all the details, covering those bullet points with relevant examples. Now then, as we've seen, our letter does cover all parts of the questions in paragraphs 2, 3, 4, the 3 main bullet points. Describing your fitness routine, asking for, explaining what your real goals are, what your real motives are, and then asking for advice. And that means a very high grade in task achievement. The paragraphs as well as the sentences within them, all those 5 paragraphs, are also well organized and well connected. I think when we talk about coherence and cohesion, many of us concentrate on the cohesion rather than the coherence. It's easier, really, isn't it? Because we pay more attention to those cohesive devices because, we can identify them. They're words, aren't they? Those connecting words like, but, besides, therefore, however, and so on, and so many others. Yes, there are some examples of these in the letter. Look at paragraph 3. The company takes part in an annual half-marathon event for charity, but, honestly, I really need to get into shape. Luckily, it's next spring, so I have a few months to prepare. Okay, what an examiner is interested in is not only cohesion of that type, but the way everything connects in a logical way. Notice how the beginning of paragraphs 2, 3, 4, and 5 all connect, are linked to the information at the end of the previous paragraph. Paragraph 2, for example, begins with, I guess you're working hard as usual in the gym, which refers back to the writer's life in the first paragraph being busy. Remember he said life has been so busy here at the end of paragraph 1. Another example, how about when the next paragraph 3 begins with or starts off with, actually what worries me is, where the word actually is used to put the information in the previous paragraph into a kind of perspective. It's saying something like, well, I've told you so far, what I've told you so far is true, but now I'm going to tell you the real reason why I'm writing. And that's how we use actually. It's changing the topic to put a different focus on what we're talking about. Okay? Look at the other two paragraphs, 4 and 5. Paragraph 4, for example, begins, I'd really appreciate your thoughts on what to do. And paragraph 5, I can't wait to hear your advice. The first one, I'd really appreciate your thoughts on what to do, links to the fitness goals of the writer mentioned in the previous paragraph. And the second one, I can't wait to hear your advice, to the request that he made for advice in the previous one, okay? I mean, that is what coherence is really all about. Everything fits perfectly together. Moving on to grammatical range and accuracy. A high band score, say at least 8, will be given to an essay that includes a wide range of grammatical structures, which are sufficiently complex where necessary. Wide and complex. There'll always be a small margin of error. I mean, very few, believe me, very, very few IELTS essays are completely error-free. But as long as you can produce a good number of error-free sentences, that you should expect a high band score. In our letter, verb tenses are handled well. I mean, the use of the present perfect to refer to events happening from the time or from the last time the writer saw the recipient of the letter until now. I haven't been in touch. Things here have been busy. The use of the simple present tense and present continuous to describe current exercise routines. I go jogging, to take a couple of very simple examples. Modal verbs, should, can't, are all accurately used. There's also a good mix of complex with shorter, simple sentences, which I think is fine, especially in a personal letter to a friend. There's also a conditional sentence. If I joined the local gym and started a serious workout program, would that be the best idea? Now, that kind of grammatical feature an examiner will always look out for. It's quite simple, really. The examiner falls for the conditional sentences. He or she loves a complex sentence, and a conditional sentence is a sign of thinking there, this test taker knows his or her grammar. Very good. Okay, I've left lexical resource until last. Lexical resource, of course, covers how wide your vocabulary is and how deep. Depth of vocabulary suggests we know a lot about many different topics. But come on, we cannot always know about the subject. We're not experts on everything, are we? Even in Task 1. And I know we can prepare for IELTS and look at topic vocabulary and read and think and listen. Of course. But even so, we do not have enough time or interest or energy to know everything about everything in detail. Here, in this example, I tried to use simple vocabulary that most of us would probably be familiar with no reference at all to special fitness programs. I mean, you don't really need specialized knowledge to mention things like weights, jogging, stretching exercises, running machine, workout program. I mean, it's not as if the writer is an expert fitness fanatic who mentions cardiovascular training every 5 seconds or 10 seconds. That would be boring anyway. Remember that the examiner is interested in how you use English to good effect, not your insider knowledge on any particular topic. One more thing. looking back over the letter again, notice how many contractions there are. It's instead of it is, that's instead of that is. If you want to know how many of them, there are 11 in total. After all, it is a personal, informal letter where contractions are perfectly acceptable. However, please be very careful here. If our letter is formal and not informal, then the entire tone, and that includes contractions, all of that changes. No contractions, of course, in formal letters. Wait a minute, before I forget, the length. Remember, it's supposed to be at least 150 words. I counted them, not including Dear Mark and Rob, which we don't include the dear and the name at the end. All the rest we do include. 200 words. 200 words. I think it's a good length, actually. I mean, I always think that we need to go over the 150 minimum and try to write at least 200 words, something like that. Why? Well, because a short letter may not develop all the bullet points and therefore not score so well on task achievement. It's as simple as that. That's why they ask for 150 words. At least go over it, please. Aim for that 200 or 175 at the very minimum. So when you're preparing for task 1, yes, count your words. But more than that, double check that you have followed the instructions and covered all the bullet points. Okay? Well, that's all for today. All I got to say is keep studying, keep working, send in your efforts, get them checked over by experts, or through the new scheme that Ben set up on IELTSPodcast.com, the AI system, the essay check. It's all worth it. Get the expert feedback, find out where you're doing well, worry a little bit and work on areas that you need to improve. And you'll get there in the end. Of course you will. Okay, that's all for today. Thank you very much. Enjoy yourselves and work hard. Okay, bye.
Thanks for listening to IELTSPodcast.com.